there is a quiet moment that happens almost automatically. You open your phone, you scroll. Within seconds, you see someone announcing a promotion, someone posting engagement photos, someone traveling to a place you've always wanted to visit. And without consciously choosing it, your mind begins to measure. Where am I compared to them? Am I behind? Why does everyone else seem so certain, so accomplished, so happy? The psychology of comparing yourself to everyone on social media is not a flaw in your character. It is a deeply human instinct amplified by technology. To understand it, we have to start with something fundamental. The human brain is wired for social comparison. Long before social media existed, our ancestors relied on comparison to survive. We assessed our standing in the group to determine safety, belonging, and access to resources. Psychologists call this social comparison theory, the idea that we evaluate ourselves in relation to others to understand who we are. In small tribes, this process was limited. You compared yourself to a few dozen people. Now, you compare yourself to thousands in a single afternoon. Your brain, still operating with ancient wiring, does not fully distinguish between a neighbor's success and a stranger's curated highlight reel. It simply registers information. They are ahead, they look happier, they are more attractive. And from there, an emotional cascade begins. One of the most powerful triggers on social media is upward comparison, comparing yourself to someone you perceive as better off. Upward comparison can be motivating in healthy doses. Seeing someone achieve something might inspire you. But when the exposure is constant and the content is curated to highlight peak moments, your brain begins to internalize a distorted narrative. Everyone else is thriving. I am the only one struggling. What makes social media uniquely potent is that it compresses context. You see the promotion, but not the years of rejection. You see the toned body, but not the lighting, angles, or insecurities behind the camera. You see the smiling couple, but not the unresolved arguments. Your brain fills in the gaps with assumptions, and those assumptions are rarely generous to yourself. This repeated exposure reshapes perception. Over time, your baseline for what is normal shifts upward. Ordinary life begins to feel inadequate. A quiet weekend at home feels less valid than someone else's glamorous vacation. A steady job feels unimpressive next to someone's entrepreneurial milestone. Even your own achievements can feel small because they are instantly placed beside someone else's highlight. The emotional impact often shows up subtly at first. A small dip in mood, a vague sense of restlessness, a lingering dissatisfaction after scrolling. You might not consciously think, I am not good enough, but your body registers something heavier. A tightening in the chest, a slight drop in energy, a feeling of being behind. Over time, these micro-comparisons accumulate. They can feed anxiety, self-doubt, and even depressive thinking. You begin to measure your worth in likes, comments, productivity, attractiveness, and visibility. Validation becomes quantifiable. If a post performs well, you feel briefly elevated. If it doesn't, you question yourself. This creates a psychological loop rooted in intermittent reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. Sometimes you receive social rewards, sometimes you don't. The unpredictability keeps you checking, refreshing, posting, adjusting, and beneath it all is a deeper need to feel seen, valued, significant. For many people, the comparison cycle is also tied to identity formation. Social media provides a stage where you can construct and present a version of yourself. But when you are constantly observing others' curated identities, you may start editing yourself to compete. You ask, what will get attention, instead of what feels authentic? Slowly, your self-concept becomes influenced by external metrics. This can fragment your sense of self. You may feel confident offline, but inadequate online. Or you may feel pressured to maintain an image that no longer reflects who you are. The gap between your real life and your digital persona can create emotional strain. There is also a biological layer to consider. Every notification, every like, releases small bursts of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. Dopamine is not just about pleasure, it is about anticipation. It drives you to seek more. When combined with comparison, this system becomes complicated. You're not just seeking connection, you're seeking reassurance that you measure up. If you grew up in an environment where achievement was tied to love or approval, social media can intensify old wounds. The platform becomes an arena where you subconsciously try to prove your worth. You may feel heightened sensitivity to others' successes because they activate a deeper fear. If they are ahead, what does that say about me? Comparison is especially painful when it intersects with personal insecurity. If you already doubt your attractiveness, seeing filtered images can amplify that doubt. If you question your career path, seeing peers advance can trigger shame. Social media does not create insecurity out of nothing, but it magnifies what is already tender. The most deceptive part is that comparison often masquerades as motivation. You tell yourself you are just staying informed, just keeping up, just pushing yourself. But pay attention to how you feel afterward. Are you energized and inspired, or depleted and self-critical? Chronic comparison shifts your focus outward. Instead of asking, what do I value? You ask, how am I ranking? Life becomes a scoreboard. And when your internal sense of worth is tied to external visibility, it becomes unstable. There will always be someone more accomplished, more attractive, more followed. So why do we keep engaging in something that hurts us? Because belonging matters. Being excluded, even digitally, activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. When you see gatherings you weren't invited to or milestones you haven't reached, your brain interprets it as social threat. The fear of missing out is not superficial. It taps into a primal fear of being left behind. Healing begins not by shaming yourself for comparing, but by understanding it. Your brain is doing what it was designed to do, scan the environment for social cues. But you can gently retrain it. The first step is awareness. Notice your emotional state before and after scrolling. Identify specific triggers. Is it career announcements, fitness transformations, relationship milestones? Clarity reduces the vague sense of I'm not enough into something tangible. The second step is reclaiming context. When you see someone's highlight, consciously remind yourself that it is a fragment. You are comparing your full behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's edited peak. That is not a fair comparison. It also helps to redefine metrics of worth. Instead of measuring your life against visibility, measure it against alignment. Are you living according to your values? Are you growing in ways that matter to you? Progress that is invisible online is still progress. You may need boundaries. This does not necessarily mean quitting social media entirely, but it may mean curating your feed. Unfollow accounts that consistently trigger inadequacy. Follow voices that promote authenticity rather than perfection. Limit exposure when you notice emotional fatigue. Most importantly, reconnect with your offline identity. Engage in activities that anchor you in real-world experience, conversations, hobbies, physical movement, quiet reflection. These experiences regulate your nervous system and remind you that life is not a performance. Over time, you can shift from unconscious comparison to conscious appreciation. You can learn to see others' successes as evidence of possibility rather than evidence of your deficiency. That shift requires practice, especially if comparison has become habitual. And through it all, practice self-compassion. You are navigating a digital landscape that your nervous system was never designed for. Of course it feels overwhelming. Of course it stirs insecurity. That does not mean you are weak. It means you are human. Your life does not need to look impressive to be meaningful. It does not need constant documentation to be real. The quiet moments, the slow growth, the unseen effort, these are not lesser. They are simply less visible. When you catch yourself comparing, pause. Take a breath. Ask gently, what am I really needing right now? Often beneath comparison is a desire for reassurance, purpose, or connection. Give yourself that reassurance internally before seeking it externally. Change is possible. Your brain is adaptable. You can retrain your focus. You can scroll without spiraling. You can celebrate others without diminishing yourself. And one day, you may open your phone, see someone else's milestone, and instead of feeling smaller, you feel grounded, secure in the knowledge that your timeline is your own. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are simply living a life that cannot be reduced to a square on a screen.